Let's talk about focusing on people's actions instead of their emotions when we're having a conflict. Now, if you tuned in last week, we went over a scenario where you had a little bit of a conflict with someone, and instead of coming to you, they went to a third party, and now it's turned into a whole mess. Let's go over a slightly different scenario this week. And I specifically am pointing this out for anyone who interacts with children, whether you're a parent or a teacher or a Girl Scout leader or anybody who is involved with children. I think that this is a great example for you. I had a scenario with my boys that came up the other week where I'm allowing them to play video games online. Up until recently, we've had a zero tolerance policy for any sort of headphones or voice interaction with anyone else. It's been radio silence has been our policy. But we have recently modulated that policy a little bit to say that it's okay for them to have headphones and talk to friends at school. So we're very, very clear with them that anyone that you're communicating with online has to be a friend from school. And we are very tight on checking in with them frequently. They only play in the living room where we have full access to what they're doing, frequently going, who is that? How do you know them? How old are they? All sorts of internet safety things, right? But my kids are getting older, they're turning into preteens, and I have to start letting that rope out bit by bit, right? Well, my older one has ended up with a few friends of friends that he is now playing with. I verified who these kids are, what school they go to, how old they are, all sorts of things. But it's a friend of his from school who knows this other little boy from somewhere else. And this little boy, we're going to call him Tony, was causing some problems. So my boys, if you don't know, are 12 months apart. They function in a lot of ways like twins, but not exactly. And we do still have a little bit of the big brother, little brother dynamic that mostly comes up when other kids are involved. My boys don't tend to view each other that way too much. But when friends from school come over, there's a strong vibe of this is your little brother. And a lot of times, my husband and I are very prickly about this dynamic of, well, he's the little brother, so he needs to get out of here sort of attitude can come up a lot with my older one's friends. And we have to continuously come back and have conversations about choosing friends wisely and, what it means to be brothers and all this sort of stuff. This little boy who doesn't know my kids face to face was really causing some problems. And we could hear a lot of fussing and frustration that was happening over their headsets because they had the volume on where we could hear what was going on. And this other little boy, Tony, was being really rude and really like all the mama bear vibes, right? I was getting really irritated with this kid because he was making a lot of really ugly comments about my little one, Tristan. And he was saying things like, well, your brother's just a liar. Well, you just need to cut your brother off so he can't play with us anymore because he's ruining everything. Well, he's obviously lying about this one stupid thing about somebody had put some trees. They were doing one of those creation games, and somebody had created some trees that ended up above the landscape, and everybody was losing their minds about it. I don't know. And luckily, my older one, so I don't know this, but apparently in this game, they have some sort of a feature where you can actually go back and replay things. So even though they're playing live, they can go to a certain time point and replay and see what actually happened. And my older one said, hang on. I'll go grab the replay. I think I know what happened. Tristan didn't do it. Let me just show you. So he grabbed up the replay, Turns out the kid that was being so mean and rude and fussy about this was the one who had done the thing that he was getting so mad about. Now, I honestly don't think he realized he had done it, but he was being so insistent that my little one had done it, and the fact that he was denying it meant that he was a giant liar who couldn't be trusted and needed to get kicked out of the game. Okay, so this escalated for a bit until my husband and I just finally made them stop playing the game, and we sat and had a conversation and said, you have to block this kid. We're not doing this. This is unacceptable behavior. And here's where it all ties back in. So my older one was trying to explain to us, but he really did think that Tristan had done it. And we were like, it doesn't matter what he thought Tristan had done or not done. It was his actions that were the problem. And we had to go through this a few times with my 10-year-old because he was harping on that Tony believed that Tristan had done it, and therefore Tony's actions were justified. That calling Tristan a liar was justified because he truly believed he was a liar. And we had to really, really sit down and say, listen, he's allowed to believe it. I'm not frustrated with him that he believed it, okay? It's understandable for things to get miscommunicated and misunderstood. We're not mad at Tony for thinking that Tristan had done it and was lying about it. What we're mad about are his actions. His actions were to be very rude, very overwhelming, very condescending, calling Tristan names, insisting that he couldn't play with you guys anymore. And the icing on the cake, bud, was that when you pulled up the replay and showed him that Tristan had not done that and that Tony was actually the one who had done it, he did not apologize. He didn't own it. He didn't go, oh, you know what? I'm sorry, my bad. I misunderstood. Sorry, man, I shouldn't have called you a liar. You know, none of that. He did not own his mistake. He did not apologize for the bad behavior that he had displayed before. He made no attempt to fix this very big problem that he had created with his actions. What does it matter if the trees were up in the air or down on the ground? Yeah, they don't go up in the air. Was it killing anybody? Was it ruining the game? Did anybody die from these trees being placed 4 blocks too high? No. It was a disproportionate reaction to what happened. It was a very bad series of decisions on his part. And then when he was proven to be wrong, he did not own it. He did not apologize for it. He made no attempt to resolve what he had done to Tristan. He's bullying your little brother and shows no remorse for it and doesn't care. I said, he has to go. He has to be blocked. And my older one got really upset because he enjoys playing with this kid. And I said, Nikolai, you are going to encounter so many times in your life where you are going to have to make decisions about the people that you are willing to be around. You are going to have to make decisions about who you're going to spend your time with, who you're going to let into your inner circle, who you're going to let influence your world, who you're going to let in, who are going to treat people a certain way. Are you willing to be around people who are so insistent on being mean and rude and condescending and calling people names to your family members, to your brother? What if he was calling me those kinds of names, or daddy? At what point do you realize that a person is just making bad decisions? Now, I understand about giving people second chances, and I understand about being empathetic with people that they made a mistake. Everybody makes mistakes. I'm not upset with Tony for making a mistake. I'm upset with him because of the series of actions that he took and his refusal to apologize when he realized he was wrong, when he was proven to be wrong. There are billions of people in this world. Do not choose to spend your time with people who are mean and hateful and rude and who are going to cut down the people around you, who are going to cut down the people who mean the most of you. Tristan is your brother. He's going to be around forever. This other guy can get lost. You've never even met him in real life. So why are you letting him treat your brother that way? And if you can't stand up for your brother, and if this kid can't be controlled, and if his actions can't be cornered, if we can't put boundaries and rules around how we're going to treat your brother, then he can't be here. This is not acceptable behavior. And it's not just now, buddy. You're going into middle school next year, and then you're going to be going into high school and college, and you've got the rest of your life. You're going to constantly have to evaluate the people that you're around and whether they're good people or not, whether they're helping you or hurting you, whether they're dragging you down or whether they're lifting you up. This is just one tiny, tiny example. But you have to get in the habit now of really looking at people and looking at their actions. Again, it's not the fact that he believed that Tristan had done this. I'm not mad at him for getting that wrong. I'm not mad at him for believing something that was wrong. I am very uncomfortable and upset with all of the actions that came after it, and especially his refusal to apologize or make it right when he was proven to be wrong. So we're not going to do this. He has to be blocked. Okay, here's the follow-up. Because our kids have to learn how to be discerning, and they have to learn how to put boundaries down with others. They have to learn how to stand up for others and themselves. There's so many things that our poor little babies have to learn in this life, many of which are things that we are still working on even as adults, right? But about 2 days later, I heard him mention, well, Tony did da-da-da. Mama head whipping around. Excuse me? I thought that we'd blocked Tony. What's going on? Why are we playing with Tony? And my older one said, no, hold on, Mom. I fixed it. And I said, okay, tell me how you fixed it. And he said, I told him that he wasn't allowed to be mean to Tristan at all, or I was blocking him. I told him he can't play with us unless he's going to be nice to Tristan, and he apologized and said he was sorry. Okay, has he been acting differently? Yes. I look at Tristan. Tristan, is he being different? Is he acting differently than he was before? Yes. And let me tell you, if you don't know my Tristan yet, my Tristan will be very, very honest about whether or not somebody is treating him fairly. So I don't have to worry about him covering for someone. He's pretty quick to throw somebody under the bus when they're not treating him right. So if he says, yeah, it's changed, okay. Here's what I didn't do. I did not insist, no, I decided we had to block Tony, so he has to be blocked. I don't care if you fixed it. I don't care what happened. He did this and it's unforgivable and you have to block him. I did not do that. And I did not do that for a very specific reason. Because that is truly the opposite of the point. Other people are going to have bad behavior. Other people are going to be jerks. Other people are going to show the worst side of themselves. My kids are just at the cusp of their teenage years. It only gets worse from here as far as other people's behavior. The point was not to block Tony. That wasn't really truly my point. My point was that the boys were not, especially my older ones specifically, was not taking the action necessary to stand up to the bullying behavior. So my insistency that he had to block Tony was based on his actions, not his feelings. It was based on the actions that instead of standing up for his little brother, he was excusing Tony's behavior. So my point as the mama, as the guiding light, as the person trying to teach my children life skills was not, you have to block everybody who ever treats you poorly. That's not what I teach in my content. It's not what I believe. It's not how I treat the people around me. It's not one and done. You mess with me once and I'm cutting you off forever. That's not how I treat people. That's not how I want my kids to treat people. I want my children to understand the importance of standing up to bullies. I want my children to be able to clearly, consistently, and insistently create boundaries around behavior and around the standards of the people that they spend their time with. It is way more important to me that my older one learn to recognize bad behavior and to stand up to it rather than to just block people so you don't have to deal with them anymore. And now he knows that if Tony starts coming back in here with drama and problems and slinging insults, we will have a blacklisted situation of like, we're not even going to try this again. But it was way more important to me that my older one learn now how to stand up to that bad behavior, how to communicate a boundary. You will treat my brother with respect or you will get out. I'm only going to play with you if you're going to play nicely. That was the golden ticket for me. Way more important than insisting that we cut someone off who did something wrong, right? So I want to make sure and communicate that it was the fact that my son kept trying to excuse his behavior that I was having a problem with. Instead of my son recognizing this is inappropriate behavior and I'm going to say something about it, I'm going to draw a boundary around it, and I'm going to hold that boundary that if you can't change your behavior and act appropriately, now I'm the one who's going to cut you off. That's what I wanted him to do. So I hope that this has been helpful to you. If you have any kiddos in your life, I think that we can all take that as a lesson for ourselves as well. It's not about the person's feelings. Feelings are feelings. We all have our feelings. It's what we do with the feelings that can be a problem or not. It's the way that we act and react and the way that we treat other people. It's our actions that are what we do have control over. And one last little note on that. My kiddos went through a period of time. It was a very short period of time because my husband and I shut this down like a steel door where, little boys, they kind of rustle tussle, things get a little out of hand. Maybe we start throwing a punch or two because we're mad. And the phrase started coming out of their mouths, "He made me hit him." And you better believe my husband and I flew all over that like white on rice, as they say. He did not make you hit him. He didn't grab your hand and punch himself in the face with your hand. He might have made you mad, but he did not make you hit him. That was your choice. You chose how to react in that situation, and you had another choice. You could have chosen to come to me and Daddy and tell us what was going on, but you didn't. You tried to take the matter into your own hand by punching him out of anger. He did not make you hit him. He might have made you mad, but you're the one who chose what to do with your own body, and that's why you're in trouble. So we were big, big, big. Your emotions are your emotions. Okay, I'm not judging you for your emotions, but the actions are where the difference is made, and you have all of the control over how you react to the emotions that you feel. And so when other people are doing things that are upsetting you, is it their emotion that's making you upset, or is it their action? Because most of the time, it's the action that's upsetting you so much. And that's where the things need to be focused. That's where the boundaries need to be laid. And that's where the conversation really needs to happen twofold. We can talk about the thing that created the emotion, but I also need to be really clear about how I felt about the action that you took because of the emotion, right? We can talk about this more in another video. I hope this has been really helpful to you. As always, let me know the things that are giving you challenges or causing problems or coming up for you, whether that's navigating difficult conversations in your personal or professional life. I am here to create the content that you need. So let me know the things that are driving you the craziest and that you need the most help with. This is your conversation expert, Julie, and I will see you next week.